Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, my name's Lachlan Goldie, and in today's video we're going to go through an ensuite renovation. This is a simulation project that I've been working on over the last couple of weeks. Just sort of a home, close to home project that I wanted to redesign my own ensuite for myself and just play around with a couple of softwares too. So I'll show you through the process from top to bottom. So original images. As you can see on the screen here, got some dodgy images of what the bathroom looks like. It's nothing fancy. There's a bath, a shower with a little hob and everything, and a sink. It's really nothing great. So it's an old building, but here's what a little time and effort can do to it. So one thing I did was found the floor plan of the actual apartment. So then went through, took some real dimensions with my own tape measure, and pretty much just took all of the measurements that I needed to then go through and create it later on in a different sort of perspective. So here's a little section of me looking at the mirror, the shower, cutting through the bath, and also looking towards the sink and the shelving. So just taking some measurements, figuring out what it really looks like in terms of how it's drawn. And same again from a different angle, just more of like another cut through, this time cutting through the bath and the glass panes of the shower. So what I did was I went into a software called Revit. It's like a 3D modeling software common in architecture and construction. Basically, this is the original ensuite design. So I've started with this base. On the left here, you can see that I've just built up what I've got based off of the measurements that I took. So you can see there's these glass panes. There's a little detail lacking in, say, like where the actual sink top or sink basin would be, but you get the overall idea here. So in terms of like a photo and a 3D model, this is the same as putting a camera in the room and just saying, hey, this is what it looks like from this perspective to scale. It's really fun to 3D model things because you really get a better understanding of space without just 2D drawing. So same again, here's a different perspective, and this is what it turns out in Revit on a little floor plan. So here we've got a shower, we've got a bath, we've got a toilet, and there's a sink here. So the two main doorways come from like the entry side over here. There's a little entry, and then this has the walk-in robe. So there's a walk-in robe this way, so it makes its way to the bedroom there. So having a look at that, I then played out with some different spaces. What can I do to rearrange this? Can I place the sink in a different position? Can I add some storage, remove the bath basically, and just kind of experiment for a little bit? So I went through with my iPad and just experimented for quite a while, playing with some different spaces, like slightly larger shower space, thinking about adding some storage, and just kept going and going. One of my favorite sort of sketches which I got from design was these walk-in showers without any doors. I really like those, as well as just getting rid of the bath. Why not add more space when the bath is not utilized, especially in like a one-bedroom apartment? We got a little section here, you can see sloped sink basin there, and a little partition wall here. Just kind of like describing this wall over here on the left in the photo. You can kind of tell where I'm starting to get this sense of proportion and how much I need for dimensions in terms of the space that I have to have fixed already. So the walls are not going to change, but everything internally would change. One key element that I did change was adding sliding doors. It's interesting because my wall actually continues like this, so I'm assuming there's services that run through here in terms of like a riser for the building. But you could add exactly a cavity sliding door, which just gives you this little extra bit of space here for a towel rail that's actually usable and not stuck behind a door all the time. As you can see, the design started to push and pull in proportions as well. Sink over here, shower again, love this walk-in sort of space, and storage became less and less. It just became almost less relevant. I'll go back here. So this experimentation here with just drawings is looking at the partition wall being in alignment with the joinery in front of it. So that would then just have a glass panel above that. So I was looking at a lot of Pinterest inspiration for different sort of designs, whether those are full height glass sort of panels or different styles. One thing I really liked was sort of the fixtures. So when you get into bathrooms, the detail really matters. And in 3D models, you can't jump straight to the detail. A lot of the time I'm just starting with figuring out the spaces and the proportions and shapes of things. And then as soon as you start refining your detail, you start looking at what's available in terms of tapware and like basins style and tiles, especially the enormous variety of tiles. So I just went through Pinterest and just kind of like found some things that I really liked, especially this this shelf unit that goes in alongside, and I really loved this like sleek sort of fixtures that would go in a bathroom. So modeling those 3D changes, you can see in the model, it's not just a sketch now, that would be your basin for the sink, toilet the same, and opening this whole area to become a bit of a walk-in shower. That comes through to what looks to be a terrible first render. I don't really mind. I'm adding experimental lighting, adding 2 lights, 2 down lights instead of 1, and in the render as well, adding a little shelf on the unit to the right is also really fun. So experimenting with adding fixtures then just gives me an understanding of how the space would legitimately look, and with quick drafting sort of renders, not trying to be precise or represent materials too well. Here you can start to see I've started to add some wall tiling, well, floor tiling and wall tiling on this side. Gives it a nice texture. You can tell even in the renders that it starts to become more real, it comes to life a little bit more. And one key feature that I really like is this under lighting, LED lighting under the cabinetry unit of the mirror that goes above the sink, as well as the lighting that would obviously go in that shelf unit as well. So adjusting some of the lighting is really important for the renders, just to get it right in terms of white balance and like intensity. Obviously I've overdone the intensity of the light here, so it doesn't really look as accurate as you'd like. One thing I love to play around with is using AI to help me render. I've put in the last render that you saw on the other page into ChatGPT and said, hey, just create this with the exact same dimensions, but make it a bit more realistic. And this is the photo that it came out with, and I love it. It looks a little bit like a window over here, but the white balance, I think, actually really improved all of the visuals that come through. A bit of an off-center sink basin as well, so it's not perfect. There's obviously some details that are not supposed to be perfect first time, but I was quite impressed with how it can visualize. I even tried a darker theme, totally bombed out, didn't really like the dark tiles, the black tiles, so went back to the white. Experimented with two downlights versus 4 downlights. I think I went back to 2 because it was enough for that small space. It's actually not that big of a space. And same again for experimenting with fixtures. So on the right here you can see it's a bit of a gold, and on the left it's a black. Same fixture type, I believe they came from ABI, and I found their 3D modeling Revit families which get imported into my Revit, and these are really cool to come off online for free and just really be able to use their product and know it's a real world product. It's not just something in a render, it's actually something you can go procure through them. Obviously here we can see the 2 different variations in the partition walls. So on the left we kept this partition wall as a solid wall all the way to the height of the bench top here, and then we did the same but cut it back a little bit, and it opens up this nice tall glazing that just sits off the shelf a little bit. So it's more of like aesthetic preference in this sort of space. And same again from this angle, you can see the glass is a little different color as well, and the change in fixtures. So I went for this really nice shower head that is rectangular, a little bit, you know, personalized, as in not everyone would like it, but I thought it was really interesting. And kept going, just came across all of the products and lighting that I needed, and one thing I did leave out was materiality for a while. So as you can see here, it's kind of all white. I'll point out some key features. We've got a inline sort of drain down here, so it's not, your falls aren't to one sort of central shower space, it's down to the end point of the shower, so the water runs back towards the shower head, which is up here. The little shelf here extends all the way back, and we've gone for a bit of a partial, as you can see on the left here, a bit of a partial partition wall, which has really come across really nice. A little bit of a towel hook on the corner there, and a handle that's accessible without getting your arms wet as you try to test the water first up. So this is the final design that I was really happy with. As a simulation project, didn't take too much time at all, but I was really creative with the sketching initially, just to play around with the space and think about how I could come up with a good initial 2D design so it would fast track the 3D planning and 3D designing. As you can see from this angle, you can just see the toilet there, and basically a really simple design. So the materiality is really interesting when it comes down to pricing, because different tiles and different finishes cost different amounts immensely. So this sort of initial design phase is much more about the space as a redesign purpose rather than what materiality I'm so dedicated to as sort of a first iteration. So as you can see, very white, very clean, and very minimalistic. So in the next sort of videos, you'll eventually see an addition of materiality, which I think takes more time and skill in rendering to come across as like very enjoyable as a space. Otherwise it's quite, it can look very poorly done or amateurish without the right time and dedication or skill, which I'm definitely learning Revit still. So this is the final design, and one more thing, ChatGPT. Threw it into a bit of an AI rendering thing, and it comes across much cleaner, much nicer. As you can see, I go back and forth here. Just makes it a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer white balance. I mean, some features are a little bit off, but it just really sells it a lot better than my initial renders do. And that comes down to practice. I don't really have much practice or training in creating professional rendering, but ChatGPT totally gives me the leg up in selling a bit of a visual immediately. So just quickly, some assumptions I didn't model, but we need to include. Proper material or tiling, any behind the wall services. The current locations, I would assume, potentially useful for the next renovation. So it's not going to be negatively impacted by thinking where is the drainage point in terms of the actual whole floor area, because the concrete has already got a stormwater drainage area. Same goes with the hot and cold water for taps. So I think they're in the appropriate spaces. Proper falls to drainage points, both in and out of the shower. You would need proper falls in your tiling and your floor levels, just so that water drains. One, in the shower where the water is falling, and two, in the sort of general space where you might have a sink and stepping out of the shower still needs a drainage point if you also flood it a little bit. So one thing I would consider as well is moving the ceiling exhaust. So currently there's a fascia plate for above the toilet, but obviously that can be improved in a different location, and modernizing it. The one I have currently is a bit square and ugly, so the new one would be circular and something quite sleek. So what's next? Hey, this was a quick video showing you a little renovation redesign of the ensuite. Next up, estimating the bathroom renovation cost. This one's a bit more complicated than my previous videos, but totally happy to go down the rabbit hole. Second of all, beachfront house design. There's a little block of land down the street that I really want to just have a crack at designing, come up with a few creative iterations. It's sort of supposed to be conceptual. I'm not trying to design and build it for approval. It's more like, what can we do with this space, and really think about the community and the culture of the area and its environment. So, and third of all, Mies van der Rohe, one of my favorite architects. I'm doing a little case study on the Farnsworth house. I've done heaps of research and I'm going over all the drawings, because in the future I'm going to be 3D modeling it, 3D printing it, and really breaking the building down into every single component. And I'll leave it at that. We'll go a little further in the coming videos. So thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share with some friends, and I'll see you in the next video.